Support for Starting Small comes from Human Scale, the leading designer and manufacturer of high-performance ergonomic products that help create a healthier work life. All of the products from chairs to standing desk and more are comfortable, easy to use, and sustainable, and great for either the office or the work-from-home environment. With an increase in shifting workplaces, comfort can be especially hard to find. As I run the podcast, I'm in front of my desk for hours a day, from scheduling, researching, interviewing, and more. Human Scale allows me to remain productive without the consequence of body stress to follow. Make sure to check out Human Scale at humanscale.com and use code StartingSmall at checkout to save 20% off your purchase. That's code StartingSmall at humanscale.com, and enjoy the episode. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Starting Small, a podcast about brand development, entrepreneurship, and innovation in the modern episode. I'm joined by Kyle Widrick, founder of Win Brands Group, a holding company that acquires and scales direct-to-consumer brands, understanding that the entrepreneurship journey is a long road and you need the right people around you for support. Kyle went on to create Win Brands Group with the idea to help entrepreneurs and startups achieve greater potential around all aspects of their business. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Starting Small. Today, I'm joined by Kyle Widrick of Win Brands Group. Kyle, thank you so much for joining me today.
Cameron, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So I'd like to start out with your upbringing. So where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
Sure. So I grew up in upstate New York, a very small town, less than 5,000 people. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was actually an entrepreneur. He was a builder, building houses. And I grew up one of four brothers. So, rather normal childhood, I would say. When I look back, my parents were definitely kind of part of my journey in getting to where I am as an entrepreneur, in the sense that my mom was just fully supportive and very much an optimist. And my dad, watching him and his business, got me into that owner-operator mindset from a pretty early age.
For yourself then, would you say you were hands-on lemonade stands or helping out with your father or anything like that growing up?
Yes. I mean, I started working super early, 14, I would say probably as an age. And I did almost every job there is, meaning McDonald's and grocery stores and construction. And I pretty quickly realized that, if you can control your hours and your pay, that's a better way to work.
For sure.
And I started, painting houses and mowing lawns and doing things that I could control. But always, for as long as I can remember, had jobs and was trying to make money in some way on my own.
Amazing. So I saw you went on to study at Syracuse University in 2001. What did you study there?
So I started out actually originally in engineering, and I was very strong in science and in math, growing up. So the guidance was, hey, you should be an engineer. And I got 6 months into it and it just didn't work for me. So, I had always had this background of business in some regard. So that became the next obvious kind of path. And so ultimately, I majored in finance and accounting with a minor in econ.
Awesome. With your time there, were you involved with any athletics or clubs?
No athletics. I was on the fraternity circuit at Syracuse, so I ended up being in a fraternity, and at one point was the president of the fraternity. So that was great, and built a lot of really good friends. And actually, it was an interesting structure running that organization. Always had jobs as well. Through college, I remember having 3 jobs. I worked literally at the library. I worked, at one of the local bars, and also, had a job delivering food. Right. So, my parents, I think, did a good job sending all 4 of us to university, but the expectation also was that we were able to contribute in some way towards that cost. So kind of had jobs on the side, did my work as far as I needed to, join the fraternity. And I always had events going on as well. So I was kind of the guy organizing the New Year's Eve event and, doing this trip or that trip or share houses. So I think that early lawn mowing kind of carried forward.
Yeah, for sure. So following college and prior to starting your own companies, I saw you went on to work in venture capital. What led you to take this path following college?
Yeah, it's interesting because I used to get this question a ton from people in the sense of like, how did you get into that business? And the
Yeah.
simple answer for me is I came out of university, out of Syracuse, and I worked for the largest recruiter out of Syracuse called Price Waterhouse. And
Mm.
I was doing a job for them that involved M&A due diligence. Pretty interesting for folks that like that, including myself, but rather
Yeah.
boring as a finance job. And my boss at the time got hired by a guy named Chris Birch, and she ended up pulling me over as an analyst to work for her with him. And Chris Birch, who's the venture capitalist that I worked for, larger than life personality. He was a co-founder of the Tory Burch, fashion retail business.
Mm.
He was an early investor in several hotel groups, Voss Water, interesting consumer companies.
Yeah.
And so I was with him for almost 7 years. And that involved, 10 meetings daily with all sorts of entrepreneurs pitching their ideas for him to invest in. We had some crazy meetings with, literally everyone from Lady Gaga to Kanye West, coming
Wow.
through the office and either just talking about ideas or maybe specifically looking to partner on things.
Hmm.
And he was also really focused on sourcing product. So that was
Mm.
my early entry into spending a good amount of time in China and sourcing product direct from China. So there's something called the Canton Fair in China that happens every year. And the
Mm.
Canton Fair is literally hundreds and hundreds of football fields worth of product being sourced direct from factory. So when
Hmm.
you go and walk the Canton Fair, your mind is blown. I mean, you're
Yeah.
seeing the jeans that you wear and buy for $200, you're seeing for $8. And
Wow.
you're seeing the ring that you might pay $500 for $5. So you start to get a real understanding of what things cost. And then our business was adding a brand on top of that. So properly branded jeans could either sell for $20 at Walmart or they could sell for $200 at Bloomingdale's,
Yeah.
right? So it started to get me really interested in creating that brand value.
Mm. So these fairs, for example, what is the attendee like demographic? Is it entrepreneurs coming in looking to start businesses with these products that are sourced, or what does a fair like that entail?
So it's a ton of traditional sourcing folks. So head of sourcing for XYZ company, coming to meet new factories, make new relationships. Similar to, let's say, the CES show in Las Vegas for anyone in
Yeah.
the consumer electronics space. This is that for sourcing. This is the Super
Okay.
Bowl. And then you start to have folks like Chris, who had built a business previously by sourcing product very efficiently. And he would be there to walk the fair and get new ideas about product for existing businesses, maybe for new businesses, and then just generally to have an understanding of what things cost. And
Mhm.
then what I started to see kind of in the later days, and this weaves into the Shopify story, you start to have ambitious early entrepreneurs launching their own business saying, hey, what if I just go to China and source my product direct? And that's going to leave me a lot more gross margin to market my product online.
Yeah. So during this time, I saw like a small time span. You actually created another company, Post Grad Apartments, aiding and helping recent grads find housing. I was wondering, with venture capital at the time, was there a non-compete to do this, or was this 100% like on the side later in the day? What was that?
Yeah, you're really taking me back here to the post grad
Yeah.
days. This was totally a side hustle, and I
Okay.
didn't have a non-compete on things like this. The way that Chris operated his firm was we were basically spending 150% of our time with him.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to carve out another 10% on top of that 150, feel free to do it. Maybe you're losing sleep, but
Yeah.
so PostGrad was one of my earlier entrepreneurial, ambitions. And what we did was kind of leveraging the Greek community that I had built, with Syracuse, we went to various universities and we seated ambassadors at various Greek houses and effectively got them to refer us leads of seniors who were moving into cities. Let's say you're moving to Chicago, you're moving to New York City. Could we, as a real estate referral company, get that lead and then pass that lead off to brokers in the city that they're moving to, allowing them to be the broker that lands in that apartment? So lead gen, lead referral business, ultimately that we actually sold to a competitor, I think 3 years into that business.
Got it. That's very creative and innovative. So following this time shortly after, you founded another company called Brand Value Accelerator, which is very similar to Win, it sounds like today, helping you grow in businesses in D2C. What services did you provide here, and what was the overall inspiration towards this venture?
Yeah, so BV Excel, or Brand Value Accelerator, we were one of the first Shopify-focused agencies. So I was fortunate to meet the Shopify executives very early, before they went public. And my partner, Dylan, at the time, he and I were both very big believers in the ecosystem and the open platform that they were building and where that would take, this industry. So we decided to go all in on Shopify. And as we were building websites and doing marketing services, most agencies would do some Shopify work, some Magento work, some Hybris, some Demandware. We made a specific point only to do work on Shopify. So because of that, we built a real expertise in that space. And we were lucky enough to work with, everyone from MVMT watches to Kylie Cosmetics, all the way up to P&G and Red Bull and some of the larger firms who were trying to see, what this Shopify thing was all about. So, met with and worked with incredible entrepreneurs. And one of the big takeaways for me there that led to what I'm doing today with Win was that for every MVMT, let's say, there were hundreds of other brands that we were introduced to that had really great product and really great brands. They just weren't able to have the same level of success, and usually because they didn't have the operating team to allow them to make that happen. So one of the first things we set out to do in conceptualizing Win was, could we not build an all-star team that you would want if you were running any one brand, and then apply that across multiple brands as a portfolio? And that's effectively what we've built.
So to the listeners out there, you're taking on these brands in Shopify. At the beginning, were you building their e-commerce platform? Are these companies who weren't on existence on e-commerce at the time, and then you bring them on and build that platform for commerce? Or what did that look like from your perspective to these brands?
Either pure startups just launching a website, or in some cases, they were existing websites, let's say on Magento, that we were re-platforming to Shopify, which we did that in many cases. Or maybe they built a simple Shopify store themselves and they wanted to upgrade that to something more sophisticated that we could help with.
I hope you guys are enjoying this episode so far around Kyle's entrepreneurial journey. I'd like to pause and say thank you to this episode's mid-break sponsor, All33. All33 provides a chair that is slouch-proof. Unlike other chairs that allow you to lean back in unsafe angles, this chair is designed to cradle your pelvis and lower back, causing your vertebrae to stack in an ideal posture. If you've been working from home for the past year, you understand that comfort is a necessity for efficiency. For myself, I used to experience bad back pain simply because of bad posture. This chair forces me to sit up straight and focus on what lies ahead, my work. Make sure to check out All33 for yourself at all33.com and use code STARTINGSMALL at checkout to save $100 off your order. That's code STARTINGSMALL at all33.com, and enjoy the rest of the episode. Win Brands Group comes in 2017, and this is a strong focus around your 3 existing brands that you have now and acquiring. With so much expertise at the time prior from scaling D2C, what was your vision for starting Win?
It really was to help entrepreneurs in the sense that, it's really easy to launch a business today and get out there and launch on Shopify and have some level of success. It's really difficult to take that and then have 5 and 10 and let's say 20 million of revenue, right? That's an incredible feat, because the first 0 to 5 million, to oversimplify, is just running through those walls and just getting there no matter what. 5 to 25 becomes scaling that original concept that was already working and doing that a bit better. But even at that scale, you're running into huge issues. You have 3PL issues, you have customer service issues, you have sourcing issues. And the reality from our perspective is these founders and these entrepreneurs are just frankly asked to do way too much with too little. If you're not raising a ton of venture capital, you can't possibly hire all the people that you would need to properly manage all of these segments of the business that you want. So build the platform, be able to leverage and hire an incredible team, which we've done. We've hired people away from top design firms like Red Antler. We've hired people from IAC and Wayfair and Shopify directly. And then allow that team to be the benefit of all the brands that we partner with. So, the first 3 brands that we brought in as part of the portfolio, they're all category leading brands. Homesick in the candle and fragrance category. We partnered with huge brands there like Dunkin' Donuts, Gravity in the weighted blanket business. Gravity's a very visible business in this space, shown on Billions and other shows that a lot of us, I'm sure, like to watch. And Kalo as the leader in, silicone accessories. And that's a business that, prior to all our involvement, had, professional athletes like LeBron James, Steph Curry, Bryce Harper, all wearing this product, this brand. So all of these founders and entrepreneurs did something incredibly right to get to where they got to. And then now would we as Win be able to come in and really help them take it to the next level?
So with Win's involvement into these brands, do you guys take on full acquisition, or what does your part look like compared to the founders and et cetera, their team?
We like to come in and take a majority ownership in the business. And majority for us is defined as, north of 50%, does not need to be 100%. And most typically what we do is take, 60, 70, 80% of the business. We come in and acquire that for what we consider to be a reasonable but value-driven price to the founders. They get a significant exit and get paid for all of the value that they've created to date. And then they take the other 20 or 30% that they held onto, and they roll that forward to grow it with us. And they get to do that with the benefit of our team and our roadmap behind this brand. So most of the founders that we chat with, and certainly the ones that we partner with, love the idea of taking a few chips off the table and de-risking a bit, but having a team to be able to really take this asset to the next level. And that's what they get excited about, because obviously in starting a business, you care so much about where it goes, and you want it to get to its best self and to be of scale and of size. And I think the main thing that we are able at Win to unlock there is we're obviously very good at Shopify. That's where a lot of our company has come from. However, we're also really good at Amazon, and we're also really great at retail. We're sold at over 7,000 doors today, Walmart nationwide, Target nationwide, Dick's, Bloomingdale's. And if you have a brand that's working, it tends to work across all 3 channels. You just need the team and the bandwidth to get that done.
For sure. So something I'm really curious on is, what do you look like personally, or what do you look for in brands that you're going to acquire on Win? So is it a product, the founder? What do you look for when you bring on a new company?
So for us, it's all about category leaders. So we're looking for, and you can define these as niche categories. Let's say silicone accessories, right? Not a category that tons of folks are looking at. However, when we got in and looked at Kalo, relative to the competition, to us, they were the clear, undisputed category leader. So we want to be taking the category leader in each space, just like Gravity in the weighted blanket space. And then we want to see a clear growth path for, forward momentum, which includes 3 channels. It includes Shopify, it includes Amazon, it includes retail. And if we can check the boxes on that, then it becomes about the people. Obviously, we want to partner with founders that we have a high level of respect for and that see the world the same way we do, which is we can really help them, take these assets to the next level on something that they've already built in a tremendous way.
Amazing. So I'm not sure if you could want to answer this question, but within 5 years, where do you see Win going on acquisition numbers, etc.?
So for us, the smartest thing that we can do is continue to focus on partnering with incredible assets. So if you look at Homesick, if you look at Gravity, if you look at Kalo, these are all category leaders. So our pipeline of conversations of groups we're chatting with has dozens more of assets just like that. And if we continue to partner with great assets like this, you step forward, you see a portfolio of a dozen plus incredible brands, and that could end up being an incredible public company. It will certainly have the size and the scale to be so, or we may decide to keep it as a private company. But either way, we've taken businesses that were already working, we commercialize them to a size and scale that they likely would not have been able to get to on their own. And in the meantime, by the way, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I love consumer products. I love these businesses. All of our products, I'm a customer of. All of our brands, I'm a customer of. I had not slept with a weighted blanket until I tried Gravity. And it's a very different experience. The only way to describe it is you sleep much deeper. I don't have deep sleeping issues anyway, but I sleep, even as a non-issue sleeper, that much better with it. So it's always fun to be able to experience the product yourself.
Amazing. I like to conclude each episode with this. If you could share one piece of advice with an aspiring entrepreneur, maybe something you've learned or regret, just anything, what would that be?
It's so tough. I mean, there's so much. First of all, getting out there and just being an entrepreneur, I have so much respect for. I think it's not easy to do. And I think most people should remember, most people don't get the opportunity to do that. So just having the opportunity to do that, number one, is consider yourself lucky, or at least I do. But my advice would be, look, you don't have to do it alone. So if you're starting out relatively small, find a mentor, find a network of people who can help you. One of our core mantras at Win Brands, and Win, by the way, stands for what is next. So what brands, what technology, what partners can we bring to the table to help these entrepreneurs? One of our core mantras at Win is don't recreate the wheel. It's easy to fall in the trap of thinking that every challenge is a new challenge, but the reality is there is always there's always a brand that's come up with this challenge previously. So if you can network yourself and be open and communicate with these folks, you can really push through these challenges, much faster. And then as you grow, think about the size and the scale that you want to get to. And maybe there's a team like Win who can help you accelerate that path. But generally, you don't have to do it the hard way. Be open to that network and taking on, advice and mentorship, and look for those opportunities where you don't have to recreate the wheel, because you're going to run into enough problems as it is. If there are problems that can be solved, in a fast and efficient way by learning from others, definitely be open to that.
For sure. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for joining me. And to the listeners out there, make sure to check out Win at winbg.com. and check out their amazing companies they represent as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Cam. Appreciate the time.
Hey, thank you for listening to this episode of Starting Small. If you would, leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Also, follow Starting Small Pod on social platforms to keep up to date on future guests.